Hi everyone and welcome to my channel and welcome to episode 2 of my new series, my Knitting Through the 1900s series. If you haven't seen the first episode, I will link it in the little I button up there, because that's where I explain in a bit more detail what this whole series is. But in a nutshell, I am working my way through the 1900s, one decade at a time, and kind of working my way towards Victorian era knitting patterns. And last time we did the 90s and now I'm doing the 80s. Again, the 80s is not really my style, so I really spend a lot of time searching for something that I would wear, because I do want to make stuff I wear. And I ended up with this Cedar 6203 pattern. It's a kind of end of summer, early autumn cardigan. It's got longer sleeves, but it is kind of lightweight, so it's going to be great for that time of year. And I am using the Drops Flora yarn in shade 09. It's really nice dusky kind of lilac shade, and this is a wool and alpaca blend, so it's really nice and soft. I've already cast on the project and I'm now working the first row, which is just a basic K1 P1 rib pattern. I'm starting with the back piece. I've kind of read through all the instructions already. It didn't take long because they're very sparse. I think from now on the instructions are going to keep getting more sparse and needing a lot more interpretation and your own knitting knowledge. But even though it's more sparse, I don't think I'm going to run into any issues yet. I will just have to go and work this pattern and see what happens. Also, one thing I forgot to mention last time is that one of the criteria I have for finding these patterns is that there has to be something a little bit more interesting than just plain stockinette. So I'm not going to be making stockinette sweaters or anything else that's just stockinette or garter stitch. I want to have at least something lacy or some texture or color work, just something bit more engaging, and I think it's going to be more interesting to see how those instructions are written out the more we go to the past. 80s is still not that long ago, so I don't expect any major issues. I'll just go and have to knit this cardigan and see what happens. Okay, so I finished the back and it took me about a week, I think. It just felt like it took really long because it is only stockinette stitch, so it's a bit boring, but it's fine. It looks really nice. I really like how this fabric drapes, and I've started working on the left front. So I've already done the rib part and I'm now working on the first repeat of the pattern basically. So it's about a 14 row pattern, and we're doing the fun stuff on the knit side and then just purling all the way on the wrong side. And I'd say so far it's still going great, no issues. I'm just going to keep going and work this front panel till I've done at least one repeat of the lace pattern, and then I'll give you a little update and show you what that looks like. So this is what one pattern repeat looks like. So this is 14 rows. So this is the ribbing. This is where I had to, well, the instructions say put these on a safety pin, these stitches, but I just went with some scrap yarn. And then we have stockinette stitch on both sides, and then here in between the markers is the actual pattern repeat. So here it is, stretched out. So I now need to do 5 more repeats of this pattern before I have to move on to the next step, which is the shoulder shaping, I believe. Okay, so I finished both the front pieces, and I was just about to tell you that everything went okay when I realized I had made a mistake whilst I was weaving in some ends. I realized that I read the instructions for the eyelets wrong on the left side, and I did them correctly on the right side. So that means that there are now more stitches in between the eyelets on one side than on the other, and also that of course I have more eyelets on one side than on the other. So that's the mistake I made, and I will have to fix that somehow. Not sure how exactly. Apart from that, it was pretty easy to knit these front pieces. Instructions were a little bit more basic than the previous one. It was just decrease, not knit two together, slip, slip, knit, whatever. So I just went with what was logical. So these are the two front pieces, and then obviously I have the back piece, so we're getting pretty far. I've also started working on the sleeves, and I decided to work two sleeves at once, which I've never done before, but I've also never not struggled with second sleeve syndrome, so I thought let's just give it a try. And I thought it would be annoying, but it's actually going pretty well. It feels like it's going really quick, and I've just finished the ribbing, and now I need to do an increase row, and then I can start working on the main part of the sleeves, which will just be stockinette. So far so good, except for one mistake, which was again my own. I am starting to sense a theme with these videos, that I mess up the eyelet row, because that's what I also did for the 90s cardigan. I'm pretty sure the next couple of projects I've planned don't have eyelets, so that should be fine. But yeah, no, I'm doing okay, and I'm just gonna keep working on these sleeves. So I finished knitting the two sleeves, and now I need to sew up the side seam because these sleeves are flat. So what I like to do is to start sewing up the seam using the tail I have here from the cast-on edge. And obviously this is not going to make it all the way to the top, but I'll just join another piece of yarn later on. And this way I've all nicely woven in this tail. So I've got my tapestry needle, gonna squeeze my yarn through like this, and then I'm just going to use the mattress stitch to sew up this seam, which is going to be taking a while. I do usually prefer to knit sleeves in the round, but I really wanted to follow the instructions of the pattern completely. So yeah, we are sewing up the seam of a sleeve. So here we have the two sleeves sewn up, and ignore this one, but this I think might be one of the best seams I've ever done. It's a little wrinkly because somehow from here on I realized this part was longer than this one, so I had to figure out a way to make it work. But all in all, I'm really happy with these sleeves. Now I've also already done some extra work on the main part of the cardigan. So what I've done is I've made the bands that go along the front. They're going to be for the buttons. And then here we have the side that has the buttonholes. So later on I just need to figure out exactly how to match it up and where the buttons need to be. So I've done that, and I've quickly sewn the shoulder seams together because that's needed for the next step, which is to pick up stitches along the neckline, this part right here, and knit a couple of rows to create the neckband. So here is the neckline all done, the neckband, which means I have a couple of steps left. I need to sew the side seams together, and then I need to put in the sleeves. And once that's done, I can get this thing blocked, make the drawstring, and sew on the buttons. So I'm gonna do all that, then I'll get back to you once it's time for the buttons. Hi, so I'm just working on the final touches. I have blocked this cardigan and I've already sewn on most of the buttons. So now I'm working on the final one, kind of the same as I did with the 90s cardigan. So I'm just sewing on this last button and then it's almost done. I already made the drawstring and I still need to thread that through the eyelets, but I'm going to do that after I finished the buttons. I've also already sewn in my little handmade in 2024 tag. Now that it's almost done, I think it's safe to say that it went pretty well. I didn't have any issues understanding the pattern. It was a little bit more sparse than the previous one, but I managed to still figure out what I had to do. There was still enough instructions to know exactly how to knit this cardigan. One of the things that stood out to me was that for the increases / decreases, they didn't really tell you how to decrease or increase, such as knit two together, slip, slip, knit, whatever. They just said decrease and increase, which is fine. I know how to decrease and increase myself, so that's no problem. And apart from that, everything was clear, everything was easy to follow. And I think I ended up with a really nice cardigan, so I'm really happy. So overall I think this was a success. We still need to go to the final reveals. And now this button is almost on. We are done. So this is what the cardigan looks like when I'm wearing it. I really like how it fits me and I really love how this fabric feels. It's really thin and nice and drapey. So I'm overall very happy with how this 80s project turned out. Stay tuned for the next episode, which will be the 70s. And I swear it's not going to be another cardigan. It's going to be something different and I'm really excited for this. So thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a great day and I will see you in the next one. Bye.